Good morning, greetings, salutations. I hope everyone is doing good this morning. Man, what a day. What a day. What a day. Had a great time last night with Mo. If you haven't checked that out, you should. We managed to finish out all of the Shady Sadie interview. Yes, finally. We weren't expecting we would be able to, but pushed through. We got it done. And then we came along and started out on the Zach Henderson portion of it, which we'll complete next week. So it's moving right along, pretty good. Holy cow! Good morning, T Rex. Glad you could make it. That's awesome, Zach. Wake up, Shaz. No, I was awake. I was actually pulling something up that, well, not like that, but I had a tab open. I was making sure that it was okay to show. So, oh, thank you. I appreciate it, Eris. I hope you're doing much better. You're not alive but moving. Well, same here. I'm not alive, but I am moving. I did. I asked. Love you too, Zach. Yes, you guys are awesome. Glad you could make it here this morning on what is the 21st. Holy cow! This week is just zipping on by. Zippity doo dah, zippity hey. Yeah. So let's see. Tonight I'll probably do some more of the Amber Heard stuff just to work my way through it, get it done. Sort of like it worked through her system. Kind of, once you get it out, it's just sort of done, and you feel better. Oh, what a day! What a day! It's gonna be a beautiful day today, especially whenever you have days start out like this. I mean, who can deny this isn't gorgeous right here? But don't be fooled, fellas. Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled at all. Because whenever they do this number, they turn around. Run away. Oh God, I couldn't help it. I saw that this morning and I lost it. Oh yes. Oh my Lord Almighty. Yes, yes. It was that's what I was pulling up. I had to make sure that it was good. Because some things will get you in trouble, and you don't want to get in trouble with some things. Other things you really don't care. So you remember this last week, that there was a couple of guys in Kansas City that now have been charged with the unaliving, in last week, after the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl parade, where strangers pulled out guns and began firing within seconds of starting an argument. Missouri prosecutors said that Lindell Mays of Raytown, Missouri, and Dominic Miller of Kansas City have been charged with second-degree murder and several weapons counts in the shooting that left one person dead, roughly 24 others. Both men were shot during the melee, according to probable cause of affidavits. Both have been hospitalized since. And Gene Peters Baker said during a news conference, the argument began when two groups of people grew agitated over the belief that people in the other group were staring at them, according to affidavits from police. Surveillance video shows Mays and someone with aggressively approached the other group, people say. Video show Mays was the first to begin shooting, despite being surrounded by crowds of people, including children. According to the affidavits, Mays told detectives he hesitated shooting because he knew there were kids there. He told investigators to begin firing after someone in the other group said, "I'm going to get you," which he took to mean they would try to kill him. He said he chose a random person from the other group to shoot at as that person was running away. Jeez. Miller initially told investigators that he and his friends began running after hearing gunfire and that he was shot in the back. When investigators told Miller they had video of him chasing someone in May's group and shooting, Miller admits to firing 4 to 5 shots. A bullet from Miller's gun killed Lisa Lopez Galvin. Lopez Galvin was in a nearby crowd of people watching the Chiefs rally, according to one of the affidavits. Online court records did not list attorneys. Messages left with possible relative of Miller were not immediately returned. Authorities did not release the ages of either man, but court records shows with Mays in his early 20s, Miller is 18 or 19. Do you think there might be a reason why they if these were white guys, they would have made it very clear, or if it was a white on black? But you know what? I'm doubting that they even go into the race of these two individuals. I do want you to understand we seek to hold every shooter accountable for their actions that every day, every single one. So while we're not there on yet every single individual, we're going to get there. The shooting on February 14th outside the Union Station was a tragic end to the happy occasion that brought 1 million people to the city. Woman who was killed was a mother. What was that?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
Oh, well, you wanted to talk to me. I don't care. Stop. Why are you talking to me? Damn phone. That's weird. My phone was speaking to me. I was thinking my wife was talking over my shoulder. My phone had heard something I said. It's reassuring that our family and the entire community know that this joint team effort has been resulted in the identification of the suspects. Don't know, don't care. On Monday, passed a ban on celebratory gunfire in cities following the debate that raged from cheerful to angry. Now goes to Missouri Senate for consideration. Oh, Mike Parson vetoed a sweeping crime bill last year that included similar measures, citing issues with other provisions. Some people will say that it doesn't go far enough. It's amazing. Yeah, no photo of the perps. Wonder why. Well, does it? It wasn't an armed insurrection, of course. Mm-hmm. I have a bleeding heart, though. But young and naive ears, let's go feral. Are you trying to break me of that? No, we're just trying to break you. That's all. It's not profiling by pointing out facts. Sorry, sad truth. Absolutely. I mean, I would like to know who the man or woman or whatever it is happens to look like that I need to be, looking out for. Erstwhile vampires commit 87% of blood-sucking crimes. The other, no, it's not vampires. It's those damn mosquitoes. They commit most of the crime. No, if those guys legally purchased their firearms or if they had concealed carry permits. I do wonder. They more than likely did not. One of them may have. One of the people that returned fire may have, but you never know. They don't really talk, too much about it. So, of course, now we get to get people a little more angry. United Nations on Tuesday vetoed an Arab-backed and widely supported UN resolution demanding immediate humanitarian ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas war in the embattled Gaza Strip, saying it would interfere with negotiations on a deal to free hostages abducted in Israel. The vote in the 15-member Security Council was 13-1, with the United Kingdom abstaining, reflecting the strong support from countries around the globe of ending the war, which started thousands of years ago. Just saying. They're saying that it started in on October 7th last year. No, it started tens of thousands of years ago. It just will not stop. It just keeps going and going. It's been going on as long as there's been people in that region. They just have this problem of they just can't stop, throwing rocks, bottles, swords, spears, rifles, bullets, rockets. That's what I meant to say. Rockets, bullets. They just can't stop. The U.S. veto of Security Council resolution demanding a ceasefire in Gaza came a day after the U.S. circulated a rival resolution which supported temporary ceasefire linked to release of all hostages. Virtually every other council member, including the United States, expressed concern that the impending catastrophe in Gaza, so the city of Rafah, where 1.5 million Palestinians have sought refuge if Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu goes ahead with his plan to evacuate civilians and move Israel's military offensive in the area bordering Egypt, where Israel says that the Hamas fighters are hiding. Well, there you go. So they blocked that. They said, no, we're not going to do that. We are not sending our folks in there. You just have a good time. Speaking of having a good time, there you go. The Vatican problematic process to address clergy sex abuse cases. Yeah, isn't that wonderful? Morning, Farrell. Glad you could make it. Beers broke your will long before I met you, Rexy. Eris, we can be broken by beers together. I'm still a little drunk from last night, so I may be a little out of pocket this morning. Well, good for you, brother. Good for you. Vatican City. One afternoon in mid-December, Pope Francis had a meeting that wasn't on his official agenda or otherwise recorded, that underscored the utter dysfunction of the Catholic Church response to global clergy sex abuse scandal. The main reception room at the Vatican Hotel where he lives. Francis met for more than an hour with a Spaniard who is, as a young seminarian, was molested by his spiritual director. Yeah. The former seminarian was desperate. He had lodged a complaint with the Toledo, Spain Archdiocese in 2009, visited the Vatican offices multiple times to deposit damning documents and demand action be taken against his abuser and the bishops who allegedly covered for him, but for 15 years he received no justice from the church. While Francis' decision to hear the story was laudable and pastorally sensitive, it was also evidence that the church in-house system to deal with abuse isn't working. From the laws available to punish abusers to its policies for helping survivors. For every victim who has enough well-connected friends at the Vatican who can arrange papal audience, countless others will never feel the church cares for them or will provide them justice. Well, welcome to Religion 101. They will deny doing anything wrong because, well, we'll just move them around. We'll shift them around like moving pieces on a chessboard. So, people don't realize what happened and they can move on. These bishops heard harrowing tales of trauma from victims, sanctioned pedophile priests, and were warned that they too would face punishment if they continued to cover for the abusers. Yet, 5 years later, despite their new laws to hold bishops accountable and promises to do better, the Catholic Church in-house legal system and response to victims has proven still incapable of dealing with the problem. There's a quick way of dealing with this kind of problem. In fact, victims, outside investigators, even in-house lawyers increasingly say the church's response, crafted and amended over 2 decades of unrelenting scandal, is damaging to the very people it already harmed. The victims, they are often re-traumatized when they summon the courage to report the abuse in the face of the church's silent, stonewall, and inaction. You become the troublemaker, you become the whistleblower. And as I can well understand that people go through that process, end up with bigger problems that they had before they started. It's a hugely, hugely destructive process. Yes, it is. At the end of his 2019 summits, Francis vowed to confront the abusive clergy. And of course, here we are 5 years later. Vatican, no transparency or statistics on the number of bishops investigated or even sanctioned. Even the Pope's own Child Protection Advisory Commission says structural problems built in the system are harming victims and preventing basic justice. Some say victims should skip pursuing justice from the church. Well, that could be a case. But even in the U.S., victims and canon lawyers say the system isn't working. That's not even taken into consideration the new frontier of abuse cases involving adults. Some call it charter fatigue. Reverend Thomas Doyle, U.S. lawyer, worked for the Vatican Assembly. Why? Because the church will screw them every which way from Sunday. Oh, that's just so bad. Why would you have to say that? Because the church will screw them every which way from Sunday. Oh, bad. Don't waste your time, Doyle says. The only justice or semblance of justice that has been meted out of the civilian courts because the church can't screw them up. Well, they can, and they do. Or the problem is that canon law was never meant to address the needs of abuse survivors or to help them heal. The official goal of the system is entirely institution-centered: restore justice, reform the offender, and repair scandal. Oh boy. Yeah, like I said, talk about having some fun. Uh, and there's a bunch of blah 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 that they go through. Nothing spectacular. Basically saying, you know, we take into account international and national standards on the minimum rights of victims in criminal proceedings. The rights and needs of the victims in canon law proceedings continue to be neglected. Yeah, French experts went further, arguing that the Vatican is essentially in breach of its obligations, and canon law will only be able to provide a genuine response to the sexual abuse of children and vulnerable persons in the church if it meets the universally recognized requirements of justice and if it's implemented more effectively. There's no published case law. This means that when a bishop is investigating an accusation against one of his priests, has no way of knowing how the law has been applied in a similar case. It means canon law students have no case to study or cite. It means academics, journalists, and even victims have no way of knowing what types of behaviors get sanctioned or whether penalties are being imposed arbitrarily or not at all. Well, it's not that difficult. If they're breaking the law, they're breaking the law. Stop breaking the law. God says in the Bible, for where two or three are gathered together in my name, I am there in the midst of them. So look at that. You're at church right now, you sons of bitches. make sure you tithe by hitting that thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed if you haven't. Well, just only 10% though. Well, in my church, we do 100% hit the thumbs up or the thumbs down, whichever, suits your fancy, but just that nice gentle action of massaging the thumb is much better than massaging a priest. So this lack of systematic publication in the jurisprudence of the highest courts in the church is unworthy of a true legal system. Well, yeah, we know. We don't talk about what we do in public, but the feedback we receive in the comments from our members who recently met with the plenaria, I don't know, are very encouraging. He wrote to the Associated Press. The Pope also expressed his gratitude for the kind work that's done in silence. Jesus Christ. They are left to languish. The AP doesn't identify sexual abuse victims unless they go public. Well, that's probably a good thing. The seminarian has remained in touch with Francis and recently wrote to him saying he was exhausted with the process, but nevertheless appealed to Spain's Supreme Court. Francis called him right back and encouraged him to keep fighting. Keep fighting, my son. Keep fighting. Yeah, pretty sure that's not old or new. Not in the old or new. I don't know. I have no idea. That's according to T Rex. I don't quote the Bible. I'm just quoting T Rex, quoting the Bible. What the fuck? I mean, I won't pretend to give you Bible lessons here. No, I won't even preach at you. God, get me in trouble with Eris, you son of a bitch. What is wrong with you? So, you ever heard of frozen children? What does it say? The Bible says you see what happens when you ignore a chat for too long, you get lost. Oh. Let's go Feral X to doubt. Maybe. Maybe, could be. So just so you guys know, you know, freezing babies is considered children. There you go. Alabama Supreme Court rules that frozen embryos are children under state law. Wow, that went a little dark really quick. Like, why are you freezing babies? Hmm. Montgomery, Alabama. Alabama Supreme Court has ruled that frozen embryos can be considered children under the state law. The decision critics could have sweeping implications for fertility treatment in that state. Well, that decision was issued in a pair of wrongful death cases brought by three couples who had frozen embryos destroyed in an accident in a fertility clinic. Oof. Justices citing anti-abortion language in the Constitution ruled that an 1872 law allowing parents to sue over the death of a minor child applies to all unborn children regardless of their location. Unborn children are children without exception based on developmental stage, physical location, or any other ancillary characteristics, Judge J. Mitchell wrote on Friday's majority ruling by the all-Republican court. So, really, I thought judges were not either. If I'm not mistaken, judges aren't supposed to be politicians. There's a reason why there's that separation of the three branches. Let me see. You got the executive, you got the legislative, and you got the, whoa, what is that? Judicial. Wow. So how do they know that the judges were Republican? Well, because they called them that. Mitchell said the court had previously ruled that fetuses killed while a woman is pregnant are covered under Alabama's Wrongful Death and Minor Act, and nothing excludes extra. I'm not even going to try this morning. Children from the Act's coverage. The ruling brought a rush of warnings about the impact on fertility treatments and the freezing of children, which had previously been considered property by the courts, because that's what they're saying. Embryos are children, so you will call them children. Yeah, you're an in vitro baby, but my family is Catholic and still had frozen embryos, and we, as a family, have absolute no idea what to do with them because of moral and legal reasons. Huh. Well, I have no idea either. I got nothing for you. I don't know. This ruling is stating that a fertilized egg, which is a clump of cells, is now a person, really puts into question the practice of in vitro. There you go. The National Infertility Association told the press the group called the decision a terrifying development for the 1 in 6 people impacted by infertility who need the in vitro fertilization. She said it raises questions for providers and patients, and no offense if you're infertile and you can't have the children, you can always adopt. It's amazing how that works. Something was sort of put into place without having to. But hey, to each his own. Each his own. Sean Tipton, a spokesman with the American Society for Reproductive Medicine, said at least one fertility clinic has been instructed by their affiliate hospital to pause IVF treatment in the immediate wake of the decision. So they can always go to another state. Dr. Paul Amato, president of the American Society for, I don't care what your title is, said a decision to treat frozen fertilized eggs as the equivalent of a child or gestating fetus could limit the availability of modern health care. Okay. By insisting that these are very different biological entities are legally equivalent, the best state-of-the-art fertility care will be made available to the people of Alabama. No healthcare provider will be willing to provide treatments if those treatments may lead to civil or criminal damages. Well, stop killing babies. Gabby, 26, who is pursuing treatment in Alabama after 3 miscarriages, said the court ruling came down the same day she began daily injections ahead of egg retrieval. It kind of took me by storm. It was like all I could think about. And it was just a very stressful thing to hear. I immediately messaged my clinic and and asked that this could potentially halt us. They said we have to take it one day at a time. She said her clinic is continuing to provide treatment for now, but say they'll let her know if they have to change course. Odiel said she turned to IVF and pre-implantation genetic testing after multiple miscarriages related to genetic issues. Well, if it could be that you're having sex with your brother. It might, behoove you not to have any children. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. We don't know what's going on in Alabama. We can only surmise. Funny, we can't cure cancer, but we can implant seeds. Hey, we do sort of take care of our own. The plaintiffs in Alabama case have undergone IVF treatments that led to the creation of something. A patient in 2020 wandered into the air and removed several embryos, dropping them on the floor and killing them. Well, I would say that person should be charged. Look, it's embiggening itself. Isn't that weird how that happens? The justice ruled the wrongful death lawsuit, blah, blah. Even before birth, all human beings bear the image of God, and their lives cannot be destroyed without even facing his glory. Make that shorter. No court anywhere in the country has reached a conclusion. Policy of this state is to ensure the protection of the rights of the unborn child. The president and the vice president will continue to fight to protect access to reproductive health care and call on Congress to restore the protections of Roe versus Wade in a federal law for all women in every state. I hope not. I hope they keep it state level. There's a reason why they got Roe versus Wade kicked out of there, and all the more they should. If your government has the means to control all of its people, then it will do so. It will challenge every single bit of it, because it's just the way that people are. And that brings me to the next story. Where is it? Nope, 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 nope. Where is it? I read that this morning. And that's what it was. There we go. As we're speaking of Roe versus Wade, seriously, stop talking about those. Hey, I talk about all kinds of stuff. This is completely different, but it has to do with it. What does it mean to claim the U.S. Constitution as a Christian nation? What does the Constitution say? Well, many Americans believe the United States was founded as a Christian nation, and the idea is energizing some conservative and Republican activists. But the concept means different things to many different people, as historians say that while the issue is complex, the founding documents prioritize religious freedom and do not create a Christian nation. You don't have to be a Christian to, believe in God. You don't have to be. You don't have to be a Christian at all to believe in God. It's amazing. It says that no religious test shall ever be required as a qualification to any office or public trust under the United States. We're not a Christian nation. We're not a Jewish nation. We are one nation under God, and your definition of God could vary. So that's my opinion. Other than that, the biggest part of this is the First Amendment. No religious, this is Article 6, requires any qualification to any office or public trust under the United States. So basically, there should be no religious test for qualification to any office or public trust. Okay. Second part of this, the First Amendment says Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. And that's pretty cut and dry. Basically saying that you can't come in and say that, you are a Christian nation, a Jewish nation, a Muslim nation, or any other thing under the law as a national identity. You can't do it. And Congress cannot do that. at all to limit anyone to have that freedom. Because what, you turn us into a Christian nation? So where does that leave someone that happens to be non-Christian? They happen to be Jewish. Does that exclude them? Are they required to convert? They ran into that same problem in other countries. If it says Congress, does the First Amendment apply to the states? And, discussing this, there's no need to, because of what it says in the Constitution. They can sit here and argue this as much as they want to. Some believe God. We don't care. That's a lot to unpack. Start at the top. No, there's no need to. What about the founders? Don't need to. Don't care. What were the Declaration of Independence and Constitution based on Christianity and the Ten Commandments? Don't care. Were most early Americans Christians? It has nothing to do with the situation, because you've already lost. You lost the argument on the very first part of it. And was it only conservatives citing the idea of this? Do progressive Christians say today what Americans believe about this? Don't care what they believe. The law is very clear. It says Congress shall pass no law making us a Christian nation, Jewish nation, Muslim nation, or any other religion that you want it to be. It's amazing that they don't understand this. It doesn't need to be in documents. This country was founded on religious freedoms and getting away from the Church of England. Exactly. It's hilarious that people follow this. I want to go on a stegosaurus ride, just like the pony rides at the fairground. Oh, you know what? I've got something for you. I have got something for you that I think you're gonna like. You like the stegosaurus? Here, this one will be for you. I'm going to have to mute it because it is. And while this is playing, I'm going to go grab myself a nice hot cup of coffee. And so you will see me disappear for a little bit, but this is for you, Eris. This one is for you. Here we go. Check this out. And maybe give it a little bit of music just to make it enjoyable. Just a little bit of music. Pretty cool, huh? I thought you guys would like this one. Man, oh man, look at the size of these things. They start to get just a little bit bigger. How small and how large those things have gotten is amazing. Good morning, Christine. Glad you could make it. A Petacentatops or something. I'm not even going to try to pronounce these. because all of them look pretty damn similar. I mean, we're guessing at the color of these things. They could be any color. That one happens to be a big white one, while this one is black and yellow. It's weird because at some point they're going to get much bigger. They're going to get embiggened. And as they get larger, we're going to start speeding it up a little bit. We're going to increase the speed here to 1.25 just to give you the concept of how big these beasties are. Yeah. Each one of these dinosaurs just gets larger and larger as they go. I mean, look at the spikes on these things. That one's got more like he's studded. We're at the T-Rex. You haven't even gotten there yet. Oh no, you're only about, let's see, you're only about halfway there right now. It'll start getting to those. You notice that all of these are female dinosaurs. Last thing you want to do is run into one of these dinosaurs, any one of them. I mean, you haven't even got to the T-Rex yet. We're getting there. We're getting there for the T-Rex. We're still at the smaller ones. Yeah. Now he's have to get on his skateboard because that's the only way he's able to keep up with it. And there is the Gorgosaurus or something like that. Something or other saurus, more sauruses. And that's a Dapplsaurus or something like that. Yeah, there we go. Looks like we got into the Ectoceratops, the Candosaurus, the Albertosaurus, the something or other Papa Bongarangus, and the Bontarantes. So in this one here, the Kleptosaurus, the something other saurus, another saurus, the Synonytosaurus, and there is the Sarcophagus. There's a swimming saurus, Chronosaurus, the Suchomosaurus, and there is your Tyrannosaurus. There's your Tyrannosaurus. See, there's T-Rex. See, it's a female. You can tell it has no balls. You're waiting for the Ankylosaurus. So that's the Krakenonothorosauruses. And then we get into the Staposaurus, the Megalosaurus, and the Giganosaurus, the Endomosauruses, the Triangulephalon, the Amalgamasaurus, the Monosauruses, the Oxynodorsaurus, the stag, something other saurus, another fishy, the Spinosaurus, the Indiamanus rex, the another something or other, can't really pronounce it. And I can't pronounce that one. And we're getting close to the end. The Brachiosaurus, the Camosaurus. I mean, each one of these would just squash him like in a heartbeat. Just squishy. The Diplodocus. Another one of those I can't pronounce. Gravity. Boom. Good Lord Almighty. So where did gravity come from? Just curious. Each one could feed a village for months. Good to see you, Judge Maddie. How you doing? extinct from not listening to Pharaoh. Each one could feed a village. No, I thought it would be interesting, and that would give me a good break to go and fill up my coffee cup in case you were wondering. But there are people that are stupid. Just if you've never seen someone that's stupid, well, you're about to. Besides me, because you're looking at me, so you've definitely seen someone stupid. But this is really stupid right here, as you're about to find out. Yeah. That was stupid. In case you didn't see it the first time, this is that's pain. That was what happens whenever you stand next to a tree as it gets struck by lightning. Yeah. That's what happens when you stand next to a tree. It will electrify every single one of you as it searches for the quickest path to the ground. That's a lot of electricity surging through that body. Yeah, it gets. It happens. Just think about that as your kids are running out in the rain coming up this spring and they want to go stand under a tree during a rainstorm or during a thunderstorm. That kind of shit will happen. It's never a pretty sight, so you got to be careful. Gots to be careful. But nothing like a day at the beach. Nothing like a day at the beach. I've got a really fun one for you, but I'm going to save that one for later because I think it's hilarious. And we're going to delete that one off of there. I'm closing. Oh, okay. There we go. We love this elitist. I mean, I've known since I was 5 not to like hide under a tree in a thunderstorm. Yeah, well, there's a reason for that. Some people never learn. Some people never learn. But here you go. Supreme Court leaves in place the admissions plan of an elite Virginia public high school. So what does it say? This public high school in Virginia that some parents claim discriminates against highly qualified Asians. The court's order over the dissent of Judges Samuel Alito and Clarence Thomas ended in a legal challenge to a policy that was overhauled in 2020 to increase diversity without taking race into account. Amazing how that works. The panel of Federal Appeals Court in Richmond had earlier upheld the constitutionality of the admission policy at the Jefferson High School for Science and Technology, a school frequently cited among the best in the nation. High Court's consideration of the case follows decision in June that struck down admission policies at colleges and universities that took into account the race of applicants. Yes, it shouldn't. It should not ever. No, they're raising them stupid today. Schools are dumbing people up rather than educating them. Education is a wonderful thing. The Fairfax School Board overhauled the admissions process in 2020, scrapping the standardized test. Oh, that really sucks. The new policy gives weight in favor of applicants who are economically disadvantaged or still learning English, but does not take race into account. The effect of the first freshman class admitted under it was to increase the percentage of black students from 1 to 7 and Hispanics from 3 to 11. Both groups have been greatly underrepresented for decades. And of course, the Asians decreased from 73 to 54. For the current school year, Black and Hispanic students made up 6.7% and 6% respectively of those offered admission, the school board said. Asians represented 61%. We have long believed that the new admissions process is both constitutional and in the best interest of all our students. It guarantees that all qualified students from all neighborhoods in Fairfax have a fair shot, but they already do if you just eliminate race. You have that opportunity. You just got to be smarter than the other one. Be smarter than the other guy. Alito wrote the district's court got it right. The appeals court essentially ruled that intentional racial discrimination is constitutional so long as it is not too severe. No, I disagree. Parents who challenge the policy say it discriminates against Asian American applicants who would have been granted admission if academic merit were the sole criteria, and that efforts to increase Black and Hispanic representation necessarily come at the expense of Asian Americans. The Supreme Court missed an important opportunity to end race-based discrimination in K through 12, and that's basically where they leave it. Ah, that's funny. That is funny. Hey, you know what? I'm so tired of hearing this bullshit. Exactly. Farrell is going to bed. Well, go to bed, Farrell. Get some rest. Jeez. Schools want all Ebonics rather than teaching proper English, and now people want to complain that schools are racist because it's too hard for certain ethnicities can't learn. Hey, I never said that. But of course, here we go. If you're going to be a great mom, nothing like setting a fine example for the YouTube mom, Ruby Frank. She apologized at sentencing, of course, but, in Salt Lake, Ruby Frank, Utah mother of 6 who gave parenting advice to millions, once popular YouTube channel, shared a tearful apology to her children for physically and emotionally abusing them before a judge delivered a sentence that would put her in prison for years, if not decades. Frank also claimed that she had been manipulated by her fellow YouTuber and business partner. Really? Holy cow. I got like 4 hours yesterday. It's bed today. See? Farrell needs rest too, folks. Come on. You got to let the girl get some rest. Oh, Eris is getting back to her normal self. As annoying as that is, it's kind of comforting. Aw. Why would you, ladies, men, don't be manipulated by other YouTubers. See, here's the thing. If I was to tell Farrell that she had to get in here and do something, she would tell me to go F off because she's a grown fucking adult and she can do whatever the hell she wants to. Don't you understand? If I told Harris that she had to do one thing or another, she would tell me to go jump off a bridge and make sure that it was, a short stop at the end. We don't play this kind of stuff. Frank told Judge she would not argue for a shorter sentence before she stood to thank the local officers, doctors, and social workers for being the angels who saved her children. Jody Hildebrandt, her business partner, Jody Hildebrandt, was under the influence of her business partner. Okay. The Utah mental health counselor who'd been hired to work with Frank's youngest son before going into business with her also received 4 consecutive prison sentences of 1 to 15 years. Of 1. Okay. However, the women will only serve up to 30 years in prison due to a Utah state law that caps the sentence duration for consecutive penalties. Oh, lucky them. The Utah Board of Pardons and Parole will consider the behavior while incarcerated and determine how much time each will spend behind bars. I'll never stop crying for hurting your tender souls, Frank said to her children, who were not present at the sentencing hearing. My willingness to sacrifice all for you was masterfully manipulated into something very ugly. I took from you all that was soft and safe and good. Frank and Hildebrandt, 54 and 42, had each pleaded guilty to 4 counts of aggravated child abuse, trying to convince Frank's 2 youngest children that they were evil, possessed, and needed to be punished to repent. The women were arrested and city of Ivins last year after Frank's 12-year-old son escaped through a window and asked a neighbor to call police. The boy was thin, covered in wounds, and had duct tape around his ankles and wrists. He told investigators that Hildebrandt had put ropes on his limbs and used cayenne pepper and honey to dress his cuts, according to the search warrant. State prosecuting attorney Eric Clark described the environment which Frank and Hildebrandt had kept the kids as a concentration camp-like setting. We know what the concentration camp is. While Frank had shown remorse and cooperated with attorneys, Clark said Hildebrandt has not and continues to place blame on the children. Hildebrandt's attorney, Douglas Terry, said during the live stream hearing that his client is not remorseless woman who has been betrayed to be and accepts responsibility for her actions. In a brief statement, Hildebrandt stopped short of apologizing, but said she loves the children, wants them to heal. She reminded Judge Jay Walton that she accepted her plea deal instead of going to trial because she did not want the children to have to relive their trauma by testifying. This mental health counselor pleaded guilty in December to 4 of her 6 counts of aggravated abuse. 2 counts were dismissed as part of the plea deal. Frank also pleaded guilty to 4 of 6 of the charges. Frank and her husband, Kevin Frank, launched 8 Passengers on YouTube in 2015 and amassed a large following as they documented their experiences in raising 6 children. She later began working with Hildebrandt's counseling company, offering parenting seminars, launching another YouTube channel, and publishing content on their shared Instagram accounts, Moms of Truth. Wow. Wow. Kids are evil. Well, of course. Let's go, Fredo. Don't you dare come on stream. No, absolutely not. Babies are aliens. Depends on how you say it. That's funny. Oh, I got you. I got you. Like 4 hours yesterday. Okay. Let's see. Don't know about evil, but definitely aliens. There you go. Frank admitted to her plea deal and kicking her son while wearing boots, holding his head underwater and closing his mouth and nose off with her hands. They also forced him into hours of physical labor in the summer heat without much food or water, causing dehydration, blistering sunburns. Boy was told that everything being done to him was an act of love, according to his plea agreements. I love you, but I'm going to abuse the hell out of you. Hildebrandt also admitting to coercing Frank's youngest daughter, who was 9 at the time, to jump into a cactus multiple times and run barefoot on dirt roads until her feet blistered. The boy and girl were taken to hospital after the arrest and placed in state custody along with 2 more of their siblings. Prior to the 2023 arrest, Ruby Frank was already a divisive figure in the parenting vlogging world. The Frank parents were criticized online for certain parenting decisions, including for banning their oldest son from his bedroom for 7 months for pranking his younger brother. In other videos, Ruby Frank talked about refusing to take lunch to a kindergartner who forgot it at home and threatening to cut the head off of a young girl's stuffed toy to punish her for cutting things in the house. The 8 Passengers YouTube channel has since ended, and Frank has filed for divorce. Well, both Frank and Hildebrandt have 30 days to appeal their sentences. Wow. Maybe they should not appeal and just take your punishment for being evil. They're like little chest bursters when they're growing inside you. I imagine so. they're just bursting to jump out. Whereas you're Archibald, I thought you were having a tender moment with Zach. No, tender moment with Zach? That would not be right. It's not going to happen. Now, this next story was covered a little bit by Max Murrah. He was actually talking about this yesterday. And it's amazing that it took a while for the mainstream news to bring it up. And Max Murrah already had an idea what was going on. Good morning, Jamie. Look at you. Look at you. It's so good to see you. So here we go. As you know, the Spanish police suspect a bullet-ridden body may be a Russian who defected with an army helicopter. So this was a Russian defector, Maxim Kuzmov. He attended a press conference in Ukraine. So this is the guy right here. You can tell he's got his little solidarity band on. Looks like a young man. Police said Tuesday they suspect this body was found in Spain was that of a Russian defector who escaped across the front line into Ukraine with an army helicopter. The body was found February 13th in La Cala, so today's the 21st. Max reported on this yesterday, and it's taken them until the 21st to even talk about this. The man had been shot half a dozen times and was run over by a car. Spain's civil guard said they found documents on the body that identified him as a 33-year-old Ukraine, but they believe it could have been Maxim Kuzmov. Flying an Mi-8 Army helicopter with the help of Ukrainian intelligence. A representative from the Army intelligence confirmed the local media that the former Russian pilot has died in Spain, but did not provide details. It's clear how or why Kuzmanov would have traveled to Spain. Of course. Kuzminov was called a traitor and criminal who became a moral corpse as soon as he started planning his dirty and terrible crime. According to state news, TASS also reported that Danilov, the secretary of whatever, he remained in Ukraine where he would be protected. Asked about the case, Kremlin spoke and said had no information on it, and that Moscow had received no information during any diplomatic channels. February 13th was that body was discovered, and reports said a burning car, possibly the one used in the attack, was found near the area later, but the civil guard could not immediately confirm that information. So they removed the guy, and that's all we have. We have no more information about this guy. I think Max did a much better job reporting on it because Max is the bomb whenever it comes to these kinds of things. He's pretty good at doing this. What was the one? I'm just going to make that. And I don't want to hear about this one. Don't want to talk about it because it's going to be ridiculous. But shit, I might as well. Screw it. What is it, channel? Columbia, South Carolina, thousands of people in one of South Carolina's most conservative counties roared when Donald Trump promised to cut federal funding on day one for schools pushing what he called transgender insanity, which basically, you want to cut up kids. Personally, I don't care. If you want to switch whatever gender you is, then you go ahead and do it. But stay away from kids. Just stay away from kids. The former president has repeatedly mocked transgender people during his campaign, using language about gender identity and that gay advocates say is wrong and harmful. Others in the GOP field have attacked transgender participation in athletics and proposed nationwide bans on affirming care for transgender minors. Don't care. Don't care. Stay out of it. Stay out of it. Stay out of it. Stay out of it. And it says Republicans may be overplaying their hand as a political matter. As an ethical matter, I think it's gross. There you go. It's like Chase Glenn, a transgender, called it dehumanizing to have its existence politicized. Well, you politicized it yourself. Whenever you have to identify yourself as something, then you politicized it already. So more power to you, brother, sister, it. It's really disgusting. These politicians, they think that they can use trans people, and more specifically trans youth, as a political tool to win points, it said. Many Republicans have been angered how gender is sometimes discussed, part of the broader backlash against conservatives seen as a liberal tide in classrooms. Most people just say, leave the kids alone. Hey, people, leave them kids alone. We shouldn't have to think about it. We need to take care of our kids right from schools all the way up. So more of this bullshit. Both Trump and Haley, last major rivals. Okay, she's not even a rival. I don't know why she thinks she is, but okay. Boys playing in girls sports is the women's issue of our time, is what Haley has to say. Don't care what she has to say. We're in agreement there. An October event in Iowa said that transgender athletes were demeaning to women. Don't know, don't care. What a fucking joke. If you're not for politics playing with transgender shit, it wouldn't even be a thing. Exactly. Absolutely. Nobody cares. Like I said, leave the kids alone. If you worry about all this kind of stuff, it's like the Biden administration repeatedly delayed a new Title IX rule that would prohibit federally funded colleges from adopting one-size-fits-all policies, categorically banning. Now, didn't they say that they should never enact any sort of religion? And wow, it seems like this whole transgender thing and the flag thing and all the alphabet soup names, it's become a religion for people, and you must bow to that religion. Well, bow to no man, bow to no other government, bow to no other leader. And of course, you get these assholes that say, followers of Christ love all people, Carter said, but there are some things you just can't go over on. well, you can still love someone and know that they're absolutely insane. You know, loving your fellow neighbor, brother, sister, whatever it might be, doesn't mean that you should allow their psychotics to, you know, fit in with normal society. But that's okay. There's a reason why, you know, they close down mental institutions. And there's an old saying. I'll have to look that up. I have to pull it up. It was something that I think it was Paul Harvey had to say about the devil. It's really old. I remember hearing it. I think it was on Rush Limbaugh. I heard it at one point in time. Let me see if I can find that because it's really interesting. Paul Harvey on the devil. Oh, there it is. It's Paul Harvey, If I Were the Devil. Let me see if I can pull it up. Let's see. Oh, there it is. I found it. Maybe I'll end today with this one, so you can sort of hear it from me. And but it was Paul Harvey that actually had it to say, and from what I understand is he said that him saying this was in 1965. So yeah, I'm not going to play it here. I won't play it, but the one in 1965, he had a lot to say about it. But you know, here you go. Today in history, Malcolm X was shot and killed at the age of 39 years old. On February 21st, 1965, civil rights activist Malcolm X, 39, was shot to death inside Harlem's Audubon Ballroom in New York. Members, three men identified as members of the Nation of Islam were convicted of murder and imprisoned. All were eventually paroled. The convictions of two of the men were dismissed. In November 21, prosecutors said new evidence had undermined the case against them. Also on this date, James I, King of Scots, was assassinated. His 6-year-old son succeeded him as James II. Washington Monument was dedicated. The composer Gustav Mahler, despite a fever, conducted the New York Philharmonic at Carnegie Hall, which turned out to be his final concert. He died that following May. In 64, the first shipment of U.S. wheat purchased by the Soviet Union arrived in the port of Odessa. In 72, Richard Nixon began a historic visit to China as he and his wife Pat arrived in Beijing. 73, Israeli fighter planes shot down a Libyan Arab Airlines Flight 114 over the Sinai Desert, killing all but 5 of its 113 people on board. In 75, John Mitchell and former White House aide Haldeman Elgert were sentenced to 2.5 to 8 years in prison for their roles in Watergate cover-up, as they should have been. Christine Yagamuchi of the United States won the gold medal in ladies figure skating at the Albertville Olympics. Midoriyato, something like that, of Japan won the silver. Nancy Kerrigan of the U.S. won the bronze. In 95, Chicago adventurer Steve Fawcett became the first person to fly solo across the Pacific Ocean balloon. In 18, Billy Graham died in his home in North Carolina at the age of 99. Teachers in Oakland, California went on strike in the latest wave of teacher activism. 2020, a temporary truce between the United States and Taliban and Afghanistan took effect, setting the stage for two sides to sign a peace deal the following week. Amazing. That had been in 2020. But this is a man-made issue. The transducers issues. Yeah. So God Made a Farmer is my favorite Paul Harvey speech of all times. Yeah. Paul Harvey was pretty damn awesome. Good morning, young. Glad to see you made it in. That's awesome. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Glad you could make it. Yeah, we've been just talking about BTS all morning. I'm just kidding. We haven't. So you remember me? You remember me talking about this yesterday. So former President George H. Bush's speedboat, the new owner, the Fidelity 5, it was finally auctioned off for $435,000 during their presidential salute benefiting the presidential library. And that's really all I got to talk about. So nothing spectacular, but yeah, there you go. $435,000 for a damn speedboat. That's insane. And it's not even a very big speedboat. I mean, I'm sure it gets some good speeds on it, but it's really not that big. Not that big of a deal. And of course, we'll have to talk about this because we discussed this a little bit last night. Just briefly, we touched on this. It was disheartening, and of course, I have to bring you guys down at some point in time because, geez, why not? So, family friend of Texas girl Audrey Cunningham faces charges in 11-year-old's death. Family friend of 11-year-old was in jail Wednesday as prosecutors say they plan to charge him in the girl's death after her body was found in a river near her rural Texas home. Polk County Sheriff Byron Lyons said the body of the young girl who went missing last week was found Tuesday during the search in the Trinity River in a rural area north of Houston. Lyons said cell phone data was used to help identify places to look and that the local river authorities slowed down the outflow of a reservoir to help the search teams that were in the water. It was found about 10 miles from her home near Lake Livingston, and my heart aches with this news. Audrey's family reported her missing on Thursday after she failed to return home to school after school in her home in Livingston. She was reported missing. Investigators discovered that she never got on the bus to go to school. Don Stephen McDougal, 42, had an arrest warrant prepared on recommendation of a charge of capital murder. She said they do not know yet if they would seek the death penalty in the case. Lyons said there was substantial evidence in the case and cell phone data and videos helped identify places to search. He added that the Trinity River Authority lowered water levels in the river, which led to the discovery of her body. Authorities have said McDougal is a friend of the girl's father and lived in a camper on the family's property. Fuck me. Audrey lived with her father, grandparents, and other family members. Lyons said that in the past, McDougal had taken Aubrey to the school bus stop or would take her to school if she missed the bus. A backpack that authorities believe belonged to the child was found Friday near the dam on Lake Livingston. As authorities investigated her disappearance last year, they named McDougal as a person of interest. He was arrested on Friday of unrelated assault charge. He remains in jail on that charge. Jail records did not list an attorney for him. Court records from Brazoria County, south of Houston, show McDougal pleaded no contest in 2 felony counts of enticing child stemming from a 2007 incident and was sentenced to 2 years in prison. The sheriff said the girl's body has been taken to the Harris County Medical Examiner's Office in Houston to determine the cause of death. So, yes, that's really sad. Night, Farrell. You get some rest. You rest well, and peace be with you. Most definitely, peace be with you. You need to get yourself some rest. Let's see. There was something else I was going to talk about, but I'm not sure I want to even talk about this because it's it's not that important. It's a horrible one, and especially whenever people are jumping up and yeah, I'm not going into that one. It's just ridiculous because we're going to hear some more of this as election time comes around. You're going to hear more of this. Efforts to deceive are a top concern My dog is losing his shit and barking like crazy. Efforts to deceive are top. I think they found a squirrel. It's that time of day where they find the squirrels. Efforts to deceive are a top concern among state election officials heading into 24. Efforts to deceive public about voting elections remain a top concern for state election officials as they dig into preparations for the 24 election. Misinformation, the emergence of generative artificial intelligence tools to create false and misleading content were cited in interviews with several secretaries of state gathered recently for their national conference. So, AI is a problem, but news outlets aren't a problem because, they can be trusted. Yeah. Aren't these the same people that put us in lockdown for almost a year and a half? Those people, those are the ones that can be trusted. Oh, that's wonderful. Glorious, glorious stuff. Love trusting those fools. Officials were gathered in Washington for the annual summer conference. The cliche here is true. You hope for the best, but plan for the worst. So we're planning for the worst, which is that multiple communications channels will be filled with false and misleading information. The way to stop having false and misleading information, young forever. I love that. I love that. Forever young. Morning. Yeah, the way to not have false and misleading information is counter it with truth. And don't silence any of it. Let it all be out there. Because the more that you see the false and misleading information, it becomes very obvious, and people will say, you know what? That sounds false to me, and I can't really trust these people. The more that you hear it, the more easy it is to suss that kind of, false bullshit out. State officials in Michigan and Colorado said they were particularly concerned about the rise of AI. They pointed out altered videos known as deep fakes that rely on facial mapping AI to make it appear that real people are saying things they never said. Or, you could watch the news where they talk about Donald Trump saying things that he didn't say, or take it out of context, the things that he did say. I mean, they've been doing that for what, 8 years now or more? Uh, we can't necessarily put the genie back in the bottle, but we can educate citizens about how they receive that information. It becomes much easier if there are disclaimers alongside that says, hey, this is fake. How about this? Just tell the truth. Tell the truth, get the word spread out there. The more that you get spread out there, the more that people will know what is true or what to suss out. And if they don't know what's true, then they won't speak on it. In some state election officials said that they would not be deterred by a recent court order by a federal judge in Louisiana that limited federal agencies when it comes to contacting social media companies about their content deemed false or deceptive, with a few exceptions. On Friday, an appeals court temporarily paused the order. The injunction does not apply to state officials, so I'm going to keep talking to whoever the hell I want to talk to, said a Democrat. If you know somebody is out there lying, it hurts voters. They're literally telling voters the wrong day or the wrong places to vote, literally giving them bad information on purpose. You should be able to shut that down because it's interfering with the voters' right to vote. Yeah. So what they're going after is people that make a joke about it, that, Republicans vote on one day and Democrats vote on another. That's what they're talking about. They want to make sure that people that they come after those people with harsh, severe penalties, including voter fraud. So if you're into making those kind of jokes and trying to be funny about it, just know that if you're doing social media and you pull that shit, they will probably come after you and slap some election interference charge on you. But only if you're on one particular side of it. Hey, what is up, MG? Good to see you. Young forever, you changed your name. Yes. Oh, here we go again with the misinformation straw man. Absolutely good to see you, Sean Bird. Good to see you. This just popped up for me. Well, I mean, put it away. Put it away. It's okay. It's okay. I mean, it is morning. You know, if you relieve yourself in the morning, that thing that popped up will go away. Sounds like a personal problem. I'm not going to get into that. You know, it's okay. It's okay. I'm going to keep talking to whoever the hell I want to talk. Ohio State Secretary of State Frank LaRose said others pointed to various ways of combating misinformation that don't involve communicating with social media companies, like basically telling the truth. That helps. It really is wonderful how this happens. LaRose, a Republican, mentioned in one instance where staff took a social media post that was spreading misinformation, added a false label across it, and reposted it while contacting local news to ensure that they were aware the original post was not true. We've worked to actively combat false information, but the way we do it is by spreading copious amounts of truth. Damn, why didn't somebody else think of this? West Virginia Secretary of State Mac Warner, Republican, praised the federal court ruling and said he was more concerned about the federal government being the one to spread the false information. True. And it said supportive efforts by House Republicans to investigate federal agencies over their activities before the 2020 presidential election. I think this is a big story, as far outweighs all the other stuff we're talking about here at this conference with regards to cybersecurity and, trusted sources and on and on and on. The federal government should be in there telling Americans what they can and cannot say, hear, believe, or Google, that sort of thing. So hopefully we're going to get it straightened out. Well, one does hope that they do get it straightened out. The chances of that are probably slim to none. Officials in Pennsylvania, Kentucky both cited staffing as a concern. Well, yeah, that's what happens. Al Schmidt, a Republican appointed as Pennsylvania's chief election official, said the risks are many and the margin for error is small. The most dangerous thing, dogs going after squirrels again. When you lose experienced election workers, you lose institutional memory, you lose all that experience, and are replaced by people who are less experienced and whom are more likely to make a mistake, and to make a mistake in an environment where every mistake is being perceived as deliberate or malicious. Multi-day conference was the first since several Republicans announced plans earlier this year to leave a bipartisan effort aimed at improving the accuracy of voter lists and identifying fraud. The decisions were made at the ERI, more commonly known as ERIC, was targeted by conspiracy theorists surrounding its funding and purpose. Republicans cited other reasons for their exit and have been working on an alternate system for sharing data among individual states. Wonderful, isn't it? What was that? So, no, they would just quietly add your name to another list based on what people Google, think, or enjoy. That's all. That's all. That's all they'll do. Kentucky Secretary of State Michael Adams, Republican, said he's exploring states' options. If Eric were hunky dory, I still need to find out ways to get information from 30 plus states that aren't in Eric. The conference largely avoided controversial subjects during the panel discussions, focusing on best practice. Best sharing the best practices. Several officials and partisan divisions are set aside so they can collaborate on improving these things. Warner said Michigan officials approached him to talk about efforts in West Virginia to improve voting among active duty military. Said he planned to talk to his staff and other Secretary of State to assist voters with hearing impairments after learning of Minnesota's efforts. That's a Nobel Prize. Your dog has been going nuts for rabbits in a bush on the side of the house. He gets so fired up. Oh, sounds pretty hot. Why is your dog getting all fired up and chasing rabbits? There are bunnies out there. It is that time of year, and they do breed like insanely much. So there's so much more that we agree on than what we disagree on. Said Secretary of State, a Democrat, Maggie Oliver, and we're all a bunch of thieves at the end of the day. We steal ideas from each other, and it's a cool program. I want to do that in your state. Excellent. Yeah. That just saying, who doesn't No, not like that. MG says your dog likes bush diving. Just here. Can't blame him. I mean, it happens. Oh dear. Yeah, we got you. We could put a smile on Young's face at least, once a day. Just saying. Somebody put a smile on Young's face. And here we go. More of the cybersecurity threat to 2024 voting. Of course, warned about threats posed by Russia and other foreign adversaries going into 2024. And it's also mentioned China as a possible source of election interference. A particular concern is America's election system. There's some 10,000 local voting jurisdictions, according to National Conference of Legislatures. Not all that funding. Not all those have funding for new equipment, proper staffing, or updated training. It's amazing to me. The more advanced we've gotten in these voting systems, more electronicized and all this stuff, the more problems it's created. But if we went back to paper ballots, you would have less of these kind of issues. I mean, it only took them a couple of weeks to take care of the hanging chads in Florida, but now it's all voting machines, and instead of a couple of weeks, it takes several months before they can get all the shit sorted out, and then they still can't get it all sorted out. It's so crazy. What's that? Damn it! Even this early in the morning. Yes, bush diving early in the morning. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with bush diving early in the morning. Eris, I assume I wound up on some list when my husband went in the Air Force and had to do all the hoop jumping for his security clearance. Yeah, most likely. Most likely. What was that? I can put a smile on all the ladies' faces. Well, just depends. Just depends on how you work the tongue. Just depends on how you work the tongue. I'm so bad. A lot of times you don't see anything bad happen in the cybersecurity space. It's kind of forgotten about. Several secretaries of state called additional garbage targets of harassment in Arizona and Maricopa. Amy Klobuchar tried to obtain more election funding after attempt last year fizzled. Congress allocated $75 million in election security grants to states. More than $75 million from the omnibus is clearly needed in our view. We have repeatedly heard blah, blah, blah. And of course, this was first published on February 16th, 2023. It was updated on the 21st to make clear that Megan Wolf spoke a day earlier during a separate news conference held by election and security officials. A, B, C. You have to do it really slow. I mean, slow and steady wins the race. or watch them squirm while you're doing it. One of the two. Election officials. Okay. Yeah, more election stuff. So that's gonna be the top story today. More than likely on the whole news front. So be watching for that coming out from one of these speech writers will be up there standing in front of a bunch of press conferences or whatever, and they'll be talking about cybersecurity, election fraud, blah 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 blah, disinformation, blah 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 blah. Because as it gets closer, you have to start ramping these things up to get closer to the time that the next primary happens, and get it closer to the next election, and keep stirring up the shit. So whenever you see March, it goes a little haywire, because we got the Super Tuesday in March that's going to happen, and of course they'll ramp it up even higher. Then it'll be Russian interference or Chinese interference or some other interference, and it'll just ramp up even more. And it gets crazy. It gets crazy. But it's like, now this is not disinformation. This is truth right here. And we've been talking about this on other stuff. Look, NBC is giddy over the $300 million that Trump was ordered to pay. That's the only thing they want to talk about. Well, that's MSNBC. I'm talking about coming out of the White House. That's what I'm talking about. What you're going to see coming out of the White House is they want to get more money for spending for cybersecurity. Is what you're going to see coming out. They're going to be asking Congress to set aside more money for this. It's the same way with the whole Ukraine thing. It's, you just got to be careful. So Just so you know, Biden wants you to know most of the money he's seeking for Ukraine would be spent in the U.S. Go figure. So, Mesquite, Texas, after bustling construction site outside of Dallas, there are hopes that Congress can finally pass this $95 billion, which about 70 billion of it is for Ukraine, because of factory jobs in the United States depend on that money. General Dynamics, a new factory in Dallas suburb of Mesquite, is expected to only employ 150 people to. Oh, I thought it said to produce minions. Sorry. Yeah, not minions, munitions. Sorry. Yeah. And term limits, pay cut and term limits, and give 100% of their paycheck needs to be taken. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, we want to increase our wages, increase our skill levels, job opportunities, said Kim Butchram, Mesquite's director of economic development, who added that the factory is expected to have over 300 jobs, only 300. Oh, wow. As President Joe Biden, well, let's see, what is General Dynamics stock price today? I wonder. They bring up things like this, you watch their stock price jump and then it'll dump. Just say, watch, and you'll see. As Joe Biden pushes House Republicans to pass the needed aid, he wants voters to understand that nearly 2/3 or 40 billion of the money for Ukraine would actually go to U.S. factories. Mm-hmm. Mike Johnson has refused to put the bill up for a vote on the House floor on the premise that it does not meet the needs of the American public. Absolutely does not. How about this? If you want American manufacturing, why does it have to be for the war machine? Supplementary spending measures contain a total of $95 billion foreign aid, including money for Ukraine and Israel and other countries. Of the six, now they're saying, 60.7. No, it's still close to 17 billion, not million, billion. The U.S. factories that make missiles, munitions, and other gear, according to that, Biden, while his bill sends military equipment to Ukraine, it spends the money right here in the U.S., in places like Arizona, where Patriot missiles are built, Alabama, where the Javelin missiles are built, Pennsylvania, where Texas, where artillery shells are made. In this case, most of the money goes to U.S. companies and workers funding assembly lines to refill depleted stockpiles of weapons that you've been sending to another country that is not an ally. The Democrat president is openly challenging Franklin Roosevelt and resurrecting the World War II era concept that America is the arsenal of democracy. Oh, Jesus Christ. Biden is brushing up against opposition of Trump on the promise of reviving U.S. manufacturing without ever having to go to war. It's amazing how that works. That'll teach them to budget a bit better. I love how they all become millionaires on $180,000 salaries. Imagine that. Absolutely. Many Republicans in Congress have taken their lead from Trump, with the party's right flank increasingly questioning the values of U.S. intervention. Johnson has refused to bring the foreign bill aid up because it lacks provisions to secure the U.S. border. This is about rebuilding the arsenal of democracy. Hooray, hooray, hooray. These guys just have no idea how it's supposed to be done. And this is something a little special for you guys right here. This is why you spend your day at the beach. You want to mess around, you're about to find out. Yeah, keep kicking me. Do it. Just keep doing it. Here you go. Here, have this. Take it. This is just for you. I knew you'd like that one. Yeah, you want to see something really creepy? I got something really funny. We'll mute it here because this is how insane people are. What is it? What is that? You're gonna learn today, kid. Yeah, damn right. Congress should be paid not to work. Each day they work, they should get paid zero. Yeah, that works. He should have pissed on her. No, but this is even better. This is even better. So decided to write my neighbor across the street a note. Here it goes. Tick tock, tick tock. Hi, I'm Natalie. She saw it. What is your name? Oh my God, she wrote one back. Morgan, why? I see you from work, you work from home too. Do you want to be friends? I hope she says yes. Says, not really. Oh my God. Are you filming me? I love it. That's funny. That one killed me. I was like, oh yeah, creeper, creeper. Why are you filming me? Mm. Hmm. So, no, I saw this. I saw this one today. I just got a little. I wanted to say so many things, but I didn't. It was just so wrong.
What's a soulmate?
It's like this is congratulations. There's so many things I want to say, especially what they said about this person. Oof. Where it was just like supposedly mom, um, her one of her grandparents were African American, and they say it skips generations. So it's like, so she's saying she had some African American in her. Well, apparently she did at some point in time. It's so cold. Yeah, no. Tina, that's that baby. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, John. Good to see you. Good to see you, John. She's like, yeah, no, yeah, she has some. Mhm. Yeah, she did at least 9 months ago. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There you go. This is good. This is a good one. Oh, damn it! See, it does that for me every time. It'll start freezing up. There's something up with this. As soon as I figure out what it is, this is nuts. Look at that. Good Lord Almighty. That is going to be one angry squirrel. Oh, she certainly did. Yeah, she certainly did. Ah, and he's just tapping that pole. Oh, that just sounds so wrong. It just sounds so wrong. Ah, what is this? Nope. Here we go. I love optical illusions. This is a good optical illusion. Here you go. If you hadn't seen this one, it's pretty neat. Chip and Dale are going to be pissed off. Oh, yeah. Fact that the cameras are there and he doesn't see the cameras lets you know that this is fake. Like he's looking around while the camera's sitting right there. They're busy stripping. Well, yeah. Squirrels are a menace to electrical poles as well. Yeah. That's why whenever I see these kind of things, you suss out how fake it is because, well, Reminds me of Benny Hill skit. Yeah, it does. It's it's funny. I do like the optical illusions. And oh, dude, worst nightmare caught on camera. Yeah, that would be a hell of a nightmare. Ooh, there you go. If you hadn't seen this,
Door closed. Keep the door closed. Whoa! Whoa! What? Where's Viv? Where's Viv? Where? You good? You good? Oh my God.
yeah,
Jake, are you okay? Coming in. Get out of
yeah,
here!
yeah. You don't want to be in that building.
Door closed. Keep the door closed.
Silly people. I saw that the other day. A rogue wave. Yeah. That's a pretty harsh thing to have. Pretty harsh thing to have there. But what time is it? It's 8:09. I like it. I like it. Beautiful day. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read this for you guys. And it's called If I Were the Devil. This is something that Paul Harvey read on air in 1965. Now think about this. 1965 is whenever he read this. And it goes a little like this. If I were the Prince of Darkness, I'd want to engulf the world in darkness. And I'd have a third of its real estate and 4/5 of its population. But I wouldn't be happy until I seized the ripest apple on the tree, thee. So I've set about, however necessary, to take over the United States. I'd subvert the churches first. I'd begin with a campaign of whispers. With the wisdom of a serpent, I would whisper to you as I whispered to Eve, do as you please. To the young, I'd whisper that the Bible is a myth. I would convince them that man created God instead of the other way around. I would confide that what's bad is good and what's good is square. And the old I would teach to pray after me, Our Father which art in Washington. And then I'd get organized. I'd educate authors in how to make lurid literature exciting so that anything else would appear dull and uninteresting. I would threaten TV with dirtier movies and vice versa. I'd peddle narcotics to whom I could. I'd sell alcohol to ladies and gentlemen of distinction. I'd tranquilize the rest with pills. If I were the devil, I'd soon have families at war with themselves, churches at war with themselves, and nations at war with themselves until each in its turn was consumed. And with promises of higher ratings, I'd have mesmerizing media fanning the flames. If I were the devil, I would encourage schools to refine young intellects, but neglect to discipline emotions. Just let those run wild until before you knew it, you'd have drug sniffing dogs and metal detectors at every schoolhouse door. Within a decade, I'd have prisons overflowing. I'd have judges promoting pornography. Soon I could evict God from the courthouse, then from the schoolhouse, and then from the houses of Congress. And in his own churches, I would substitute psychology for religion and deify science. I would lure priests and pastors into misusing boys and girls and church money. If I were the devil, I'd make the symbol of Easter an egg and the symbol of Christmas a bottle. If I were the devil, I would take from those who have and give to those who wanted until I killed the incentive of all ambitious. What will you bet I could get the whole states to promote gambling as a way to get rich? I would caution against extremes and hard work and patriotism and moral conduct. I would convince the young that marriage is old fashioned, that swinging is more fun, that what you see on TV is the way to be. And thus I would undress you in public, and I could lure you into bed with diseases for which there is no cure. In other words, if I were the devil, I'd just keep on doing what he's doing. And there you go. Everybody, have a wonderful day. Be kind to one another. I am out of here. And for you that don't like the fake coffee drinkers, here you go.